Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, we are live. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls, using technology to reimagine education. My name is I'm the host of this weekly show. On this show, I interview leading professors and professionals like Lisa Flowers to talk about issues and topics related to social media, technology, education, disruption, and change. I created this show because I believe our society has changed a lot. Social media and technology play a huge role in our changing society. As educators, we need to change how we teach and how we interact with our students. If you are new to the show, thank you so much for being here. If you are returning attendee and you know how much I love you and I support you and you support means to me. And if you are watching this on replay, thank you so much, future people. I'm so honored that I have Lisa Flowers join us to be my guest of honor and to share with us how to use social media to build online influence. And Lisa is an award-winning copywriter and a marketer and a keynote speaker and also an educator. Lisa has been interviewed by many major media outlets such as NPR, CNN Money, BBC World Service, CNBC Africa, and so many others that I can't memorize and remember. And Lisa is also a certified instructor for the National Institute for Social Media. And thank you so much for being here, Lisa. I can't wait to learn from you and to know how we can use social media to build a strong online influence. And welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been watching your show and watching you grow, and you've had some fabulous guests. I'm honored to be among those people. And I wanted to say hello to everyone from Washington, D.C. That's where I'm coming from today, this afternoon. We had a terrible cold spell, and now it's warmed up a little bit, but hello from Washington, D.C.
Oh, thank you so much. And we have Julia here. We have Des here. Thank you so much for joining us. And can you please also type in the comment section where you are joining us from? And if you don't mind giving this show a share, that will be greatly appreciated so that more people can check us out and can benefit from Lisa's amazing comments coming up soon. So I'm just going to get started here, Lisa. You have an incredible online presence, especially on Twitter. And you shared with me that you had an amazing trip and adventure to Africa because of a tweet that you sent out. That is such an amazing story. How did that happen? Can you please tell us more about the story?
Well, I tell you, it is an amazing story, and it becomes even more amazing to know the end of all of that. But first of all, I wanted to say hello to everybody. I see some friends out there that I've seen from Twitter chats and Facebook, and some folks I've met in real life. So hello, everybody, and thank you for watching and sharing. In 2000, what year is this today? It's 2007. This is 2018. In 2012, I was participating in a ton of Twitter chats, and there was a tweet about human rights from this journalist that was living in Nigeria. He's from Cameroon, and he was living in Nigeria, and he was posting articles and blog posts about human rights. And I retweeted one of his posts, and we got to talking on Twitter. And his name is Simon Ateba, and he is this fantastic publisher of a really great online newspaper. And he and I got to be friends, and then I started getting more and more friends from all over the world, but particularly from Africa. And so my first adventure to Africa started with that one tweet or retweet with Simon Ateba. And we became friends. And a year and a half later, I ended up leaving my boy here in the U.S. and traveling to Nigeria alone and meeting a fantastic team of people, including Simon, having never met any of them in person. And so over that year and a half, we became Facebook friends, and I became friends with others. But that one tweet set in motion conversations that led to friendships. And so one of the beautiful things about social media is that if you really start developing those relationships, once you meet in real life, you just pick up the conversation where you left off. And Absolutely. So that's what's so fantastic about it. And so Simon and I have become fantastic friends. And that first trip to Nigeria, everything was planned from a social media aspect. So if I were going to be interviewed somewhere, everything was planned by me reaching out to them on social media. If we were going to be, all of the housing, everything, all of the reviews, everything that we did for that entire trip was used on social media. But one of the most important things I did was I created a hashtag called Lisa in Lagos, because I was going to be going to Lagos, Nigeria. So prior to my trip, a few months before then, anything that I posted on Twitter and probably Facebook too, anything that I posted particularly related to Africa, I included the hashtag Lisa in Lagos. So I built up this following nationally and then globally and then within Nigeria itself of people that were reading my content, sharing my content, going on to other platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn to have discussions. And that's how it got started. So by the time I got off that plane, the trip was planned. Everyone that I had met online, particularly Simon, met him on Twitter, were really just friends that were welcoming me to their country. So the full circle of that is Simon is now here in Washington, D.C. And so that's the full circle of that. He's now living here in D.C. I will add that I went in 2014. We had a fantastic, and I say we, because I traveled kind of with a team once I got there. And these were people that I didn't know. I just met on social media. And so I spoke throughout the country, but particularly in Lagos. And so if I had an interview, if I was at, Cool FM, which is in Lagos, on a radio station at Cool FM, for example, other people would be tweeting me saying, hey, we want you to come here. We want to interview you. So I use that hashtag to really increase my presence, but increase the strength of what social media can really do for you by using one simple hashtag. So your viewers may want to think about that, whether it's in the classroom, you would use a hashtag for a particular course, for an event that that either you're hosting or, of course, one that you're going to. Hopefully, they're already using hashtags. Maybe it's a project that you're doing. Using a hashtag is a fantastic way to build a brand and some momentum with your project. So went in 2014, and during that time, I also met my husband in real life. And so that was the very first time that we met. And it was really a magical trip for that reason as well. And then I was asked to come back in 2015. And I went and spoke at Social Media Week in Lagos, which was a huge event. If you ever have an opportunity to participate in Social Media Week, do it. It is fantastic. And that's when we got married, and it just really began a big adventure. So my first adventure to Africa started with a tweet, and it really, really showed how social media can move from online to in your living room, in your hotel room, in your conference room, and things like that.
That is such an incredible and amazing story. Oh my God. Yes. Just because of a tweet. And also, I think you are being very strategic, and you also created a hashtag, and you were engaging in conversations. Those are some really great points. So if you can kind of summarize, what are your top 3 takeaways from this experience, Lisa, so that our audience, communication professionals, social media professionals can learn from you and maybe have a similar experience, if you can share your top 3 takeaways from this experience, that would be great.
Sure. So first of all, the first one is, social media is social, and you got to remember that. Of course, there are going to be people out there that may try to scam you or just don't really have an interest, but in the end, most people online are wanting to learn and have relationships, business relationships. In my case, with my husband, it ended up being marriage, but with Simon, it was a business relationship. And so use social media to be social, and people will feel as if also they know you once you meet in person, because they usually know more stuff about you. So that's the first tip. Use social, be social. Number 2 is have a strategy. Prior to that trip, I went to Malaysia, and I went there to attend a social media event in Malaysia, their social media week. And that was, one of the things that was so important is I set up appointments for meetings only using social media. So, I really did a lot of strategic planning to say, I'm going to this event. I would love to meet up with you for coffee. So use social media to plan how your trip is going to be, particularly if it's a business trip. If people have their social media profile on their website, on any profile, if they're cross promoting, they want to be social. So use social media to plan trips, to develop strategies, to meet new clients, to meet new people. And then the third one is, I'm going to use hashtag because it was so powerful in my situation. And you can really probably use it in almost any situation. Develop your own brand hashtag. So those are the 3 tips. Social is social, so embrace it. Use social to set up business opportunities and to make it part of your overall strategy. And number 3 is use a hashtag. So that was the 3 tips.
That's a great point. And I love this comment from Elaine. She said that social, kind of resonating with what you were talking about earlier. It's a great way for people to start offline, connections and connecting in person. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Yes.
Yeah, great point. That's great.
Yeah, I also love the point you mentioned about creating your branded hashtags. And I need to consistently use the hashtag I created for my show. I'm just not being very consistent. But after our conversation today, I'm definitely going to be more consistent with using my Classroom Without Walls hashtag. And
great.
Such an amazing story. I'm also curious, for people in the audience join us live, do you have any branded personal hashtags? If so, can you please type in the comment section? Because I want to learn from you. I want to know what hashtags you are using. And I also created a hashtag for my class. For each of the classes I teach, I have a hashtag. But for myself, I need to be better. So that's a great point. And Lisa, you have been interviewed by so many major media outlets such as NPR, CNN Money, CNBC Africa, and so many others. Can you please share with us how did those amazing opportunities come to you, and how did they help you with your business, if at all, and how?
Sure. So, first of all, I just want to see Julie there. She said writing a hashtag 30 days of learning. Love that hashtag. That's a fantastic one.
She's on LinkedIn. I saw her. Yeah, actually, I commented on her post. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. And here's the other thing. Make sure to research that hashtag as well to see who's using it for what. But if they're not using it, or if it's if it's something that you can really kind of take over in a good way, don't be afraid to do that. Unless, of course, it's like Nike. You may have a problem there with some big brand name. But so talking about the interviews with all of these different international media, again, quite frankly, using social media and reaching out. So when I was in Nigeria for the first time, as an example, I had some friends there that I'd met online through Twitter and through Facebook who said, "Hey, you're coming. I'd love to connect you with some people. How can I help?" So I was like, well, I need some media interviews. Who do you know? And so I had some really great friends there. Simon Ateba was one of them. And Simon, check him out, please. He is just fantastic. He's a journalist that, so he knows a lot of media people. He was able to connect me with some. And also Jerry Bambi, who is a broadcast journalist in Nigeria, and now he's in another country. They connected me with people. But reaching out to the media themselves on social media and following them and offering them either help or you as a guest or content or a source for something else, just simply connecting with them. I am a huge fan of Twitter list. And so I have public lists so people will know when I add them to the list. And then I have private lists. So I developed my own media list on Twitter that I use, and I track those people and try to connect with them. The other secret, to be honest with you, is HARO, Help a Reporter Out, which was started by Peter Shankman, who is fantastic, petershankman.com. But he started this service called Help a Reporter Out, and you can go there as an individual, as a brand, professional, and list yourself as a media source. And so that's another a good tip for getting those interviews. I will share with you, so it's CNN Money, and there's Chase.com and BBC and MSNBC and all those other guys. But I'll share with you a funny story at Social Media Week in Lagos. I had just finished my session, and there was no electricity in this, no air conditioning in this building. I was a hot mess, girl. I was just sweating like a dog. But we come outside, and there is this team from MTV there. And I am not the MTV age anymore, so to speak. And there was this really young, vivacious reporter there. And so I was going to do an interview with her, and I'll never forget this. So we're talking, we're doing the interview, and we're about probably a 60-second, maybe minute and a half lag time, between going live and doing this interview. So we're wrapping things up about the show, about, Social Media Week and how to use social media for influence. And at the end of this, she says, so tell me, what song would you like us to play? And I had deer in the headlights. I was like, oh my Lord, I don't watch, I didn't say this, but I didn't have any idea what to say about my favorite song that they could play that their viewing audience would know about. And so it was a really funny, funny time for me to just not have anything to say. And she started laughing, and then the producer's like, cut. And he comes over, and he's really, really in a rush. He's like, okay, all right, so we only have like 30 seconds to find a song for you that you can say that we're going to play on MTV. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I'm like, okay. So they start listing off all these songs. I have no idea who the performers were. I had no idea. And this crowd is gathering behind the camera, laughing in a good way, like, oh my gosh, And finally they came up with some song that I kind of recognized, and they're like, all right. So they start shooting again, or rolling again, or whatever. And so I said the song that they wanted me to say, but it was embarrassing. But you know what? It was real life in terms of that stuff happens. And
absolutely.
And you never know who you're connecting with. I walked out there to do an interview with MTV and had no idea they were going to ask me what was my favorite song to lead into the next segment. But anyway, it really resonated with a lot of the people there. So as far as in terms of online influence, it was, have some sort of a goal in mind. It's kind of like, what do you want to be when you grow up thing, right? So it's kind of like, what do you want to be known for, or what do you want to be doing? Have a focus and reach out to people that can help you. The worst thing you can do is friend someone on Facebook or LinkedIn or follow on Twitter and immediately start asking them for help. You don't want to do that, of course. You wouldn't do that in real life, and so you wouldn't do it on social. But don't be afraid to reach out to those people and simply say, for example, I, as an example, hey, how do you do this behind the scenes stuff? How do you do your show and things like that? So don't be afraid to reach out, but you got to have some sense of purpose, and strategy. I like the 3-word approach to things. So you liked the 3 things and the 3 tips. I like that too, but also the 3 words. So what are the 3 words you want people to know you for? For me, it's what I'm good at, and that's a strategist, is business ideas, being able to think off the top of my head in terms of ideas and strategies. So strategist, speaker, and the last one is either educator or advocate, which kind of changes back and forth. So think of those 3 things that you want to be known for, because as we all know, you are what you tweet, what you post, what you share, what you like, you are those things. So that would certainly be something from an online presence and building that brand. Reach out. When you say, some people say, well, reach out to the influencers. You know what? Those influencers may not be the right track for you. Maybe you develop your own tribe and you're the influencer by reaching out to others and helping them. There's a lot of fantastic people out here in the social media world, but within your industry, whether it's in marketing, maybe you're marketing widgets, whether maybe you're an air conditioning company, and you're trying to reach out to people there. Maybe you're trying to sell an online course. Maybe you're trying to write a book. Don't be afraid to reach out to people that aren't necessarily the top influencers within that industry, because you never know who knows somebody and who can help you.
Oh, those are some really great comments. I also want to hear from people who are joining us live. We have more people coming, Gary and Natasha and Mark. Thank you so much. And so what are the 3 words that you want yourself to be known for? And I love the 3 words from Lisa. And I need to think, what are the 3 words that I want to know? And this is a really good exercise in terms of understanding your personal brand. So please type in the comment. Everyone in the audience, I want to know the 3 words that you want yourself to be known for. And also, Lisa mentioned HARO, help a reporter out. And I just want to reiterate what a great platform this is. I subscribe to them every day. I think I receive at least like 10 or 20 like media requests, and you can select the categories you want to be interviewed. And so highly recommend for yourself or for your students. And it's such an amazing platform to to connect with a journalist. And if you can also share with us, Lisa, Simon's contact information, that will be great. Maybe like tag him on social media after the interview is over, because we have to mentioning him. And I think probably people in the audience want to connect with this amazing individual. Yeah,
his website is Today News Africa.
Okay.
So that's one place you can go to. And then he's online as Simon Ateba, Ateba. And you can connect him on LinkedIn and maybe under Ateba P something, but you can find him. He's the only Simon Ateba. You'll find him. He's really. So.
And also, I love another point mentioned in terms of Twitter list. Recently I started to become really strategic with my Twitter list, but never thought about having private media list. That is such a great point. You can kind of really stalking people and know what's going on. This is such a great tip. I hope everyone is paying attention. And if you are teaching class, this is something that you can ask your students to do. I mentioned this in my social media pedagogy course, that you can ask students to create a private list, maybe of their dream companies, dream people they want to work for, and be professional stalkers, as we were talking about before the show gets started. Those are some really great tips. And you are such an amazing storyteller, Lisa. I was just like, wow, that's an interesting story. You really captivated my attention. And So
I see that your viewers are coming up with those 3 things. So I think that's great. I would let them, when I did my 3 words, let it resonate with you and marinate a little bit to see how it feels for you, right? And ask other people what they think of it. And here's the thing to remember. You may not be all of those 3 words yet, and that's even better, because it gives you something to strive for and something to work towards. But whatever those 3 words are, Use it, brand it. You can see on my, I just recently changed some of the headers on my cover pages and my cover images on my social media profiles. Use Canva, which is another fantastic product, Canva.com, another product to create those cover images that are customized. And so Canva is a graphic design program. I love Canva. But that's a great way to just put it across all of your platforms, is those 3 words. And of course, cross-promote on your other platforms as well. So using social media for influence, going back to those Twitter lists, I have a public list of companies that I may want to work with and a private list. And the reason I want to put them on a public list is because I want them to know I'm interested in working with them.
Under their radar, yes.
Exactly. And so from a competitive intelligence standpoint, go to your competitors on Twitter and see what their lists are. And dig around in there and even subscribe to their list.
Yeah, that's I was about to say that. Yeah, it's so powerful on Twitter. You can subscribe to other people's list. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, with Twitter's going through some changes, but it still should not be overlooked. It is a vital tool as a professional and should be for your company as well. It is, in my classes I teach, for example, Facebook is your neighborhood. It's kind of the people that know you. And it certainly is getting that way more and more with all the algorithm changes. So Facebook is your neighborhood. LinkedIn is kind of the professional go-to site, the online resume place, but also a great way to do some business. And then Twitter is the world's watering hole. It's where everybody comes for news and information. Anything to do with global events is going to be shared on Twitter.
Absolutely. I love Twitter because I think it is probably the only platform that you can get a hold of any high profile person without physically or virtually being connected to this person. And I think what I love the most about Twitter. And yes, I don't know if you guys and people in the audience follow Social Media Examiner. Yesterday, I listened to a podcast. They interviewed Mark Schaefer, and the latest podcast, the episode, they were talking about Twitter. And definitely, if you are passionate about Twitter, definitely check out that episode. I learned a lot. And Mark Schaefer mentioned in the episode that Twitter is it's definitely not dying, and it's doing okay, and it's doing well, and people are still being really loyal because Twitter is a platform powered by people. And he made the point that if you think about it, Twitter chat didn't start it by Twitter, hashtag didn't start by Twitter. All those are started by people. So it is a social platform powered by people. I just love that example and comment. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of teaching, you are a certified instructor for the National Institute for Social Media. Can you please tell us more about this institute, and what do you see are some topics or courses that people are most interested in learning?
Hi. Well, thanks for asking about that. So in terms of what people are most interested in learning, is how to just present themselves online, which sounds like a really simple thing to think about. But you have to have a strategy for that. You really have to figure out where you're headed. I want to circle back to Mark Schaefer, by the way, which he, recently launched a new book. But Mark is one person that really gets around in terms of new technology and some changes online. And he's a great person to follow. He is an author and a speaker, and he puts it just in real life terms. So he's someone to certainly think about. But going back to, I'm sorry, I had someone off screen right here trying to talk to me for a second, so I apologize. Tell me the question again. I'm really sorry. They were trying to talk to me.
I was asking you if you can tell us more about this institute, National Institute for Social Media, and some courses that people are interested in learning based on your teaching experience.
So the National Institute for Social Media is a fantastic organization run by Jen Radke. She, at one point, was co-hosting with me Love for Social, the Twitter chat, LUV the number 4 and social. And we hold that. I'll be hosting that tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern time. And it is a national institute here in the U.S. Of course, it's now global because they're everywhere. But it is a social media certification prep course. And then that's what I teach through that institute. Mm-hmm. And we teach strategy. So we don't get down into the minutia of here's how you do Facebook Live, for example. We're more higher level of here's how you use social media as part of your overall marketing for your organization. And so you can be certified through that organization. I'm a social media strategist certified through them. I'm also an instructor. They have online courses. They have some of the courses at local universities. And they're online at nismonline.org. And then before I forget, I did see someone's message on there, and I know you're going to say this at the end. I'm at Lisa L. Flowers, which is my handle, except on Instagram, someone beat me to it. And so I'm Lisa L. Flowers 1. But that's another good thing about influence. But I want to finish up about this course. So the National Institute for Social Media certification class, the time frame varies, but the content remains the same, and it's 6 different buckets, of things that range from governance to community management to overall strategy. And it's about pulling all of those things together. I see a lot of people online that are really good on one platform and how to use it, or maybe they're really good on a couple of them, or they're just really good on social media. But this is a way to completely integrate it into everything else as well, the class. Social media is social, but you can't overlook traditional media. So if you've got a campaign running and it's signage or a billboard or TV or radio, you've got to, be able to cross-promote those as well as keep social media as part of your integrated strategy. So the National Institute for Social Media is a fantastic one to be associated with, and they've got classes going on. Who knows? I may be your teacher in the next class.
Yeah, you'll be amazing. You are an amazing teacher.
So we also talk about real life world examples. Thank you. I would go there. Jen is one of those. It says, how can we use hashtag to reach more people regarding press freedom issues? Yeah. I have taught journalists, and as you know, through this show, there are many friends of mine. And so the biggest for me, using Twitter versus some other channels is the best way. So from a standpoint of advocacy, I'm going to go back to my hashtag thing, is have some sort of hashtag for your, not only your event, but your purpose, your cause, link up with other organizations that might help promote your cause. Never overlook those people that are quietly following you that maybe you've never interacted with, or those people that are part of a Twitter chat that you've never connected with. So never overlook that. In terms of press freedom, it's something that in today's world, we have to not only be aware of, but we need to support press freedom and the right to have a voice and use that voice. And so Simon, I'm going to go to my friend Simon Ateba. He has been kidnapped, beaten, left for dead by simply asking questions. Mm-hmm. And so during one of his times that he was held, and I created a Facebook page for him for the release, because he was being held in prison somewhere, in a jail somewhere. And I created a Facebook page immediately for him. And then other people started this campaign online. Be part of the conversation. Yes. And then you can help lead that conversation when it comes to your cause, if it's press freedom, as an example, or the right to simply have a voice. I live in the United States. There are a lot of other countries that do not offer their citizens and their visitors that same freedom. And don't get me wrong, here in the U.S., particularly given our political climate, you know, we still have some challenges, given even where we are here.
Yeah, like this is such a big topic. It can almost be another just like Facebook live show. Yes, yes, definitely. Great comments. And thank you for answering. Just to respect everyone's time, and I'm just going to skip one question and jump to this question. What is one project that you are super fired up about right now, Lisa? And how can we help you in terms of like giving you information or promotion, sharing? Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm working on a couple of different things. I appreciate that. I'm working on some different projects with some folks that I'm not actually even announcing some of those yet because we're trying to sort through them. But ways that you can help me are simply inviting me to be a guest on your show or connecting me with someone that might need some help developing strategies. You know, part of what I do is help professionals and organizations figure out how to use social media for influence. And I have a coaching arm to my business, and sometimes it's one-on-one as a professional that just needs someone to hold their hand and ask those questions that they might not ask in front of others in a group or something. And that's an online group is what I mean, or maybe they need something polished. So, you know, the biggest thing I'm working on is I love my coaching business and speaking opportunities. I'm getting ready. A couple of weeks ago, I was just invited to speak at a conference in Saudi Arabia. I'll be going to in April. So any speaking opportunities, you know,
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's going to be a great conference on disabilities. And so I'm going to be talking to those professionals about how to use social media, especially for those who are disabled, how to use social media for influence and for growth.
That's awesome.
So a lot of projects, but feel free to connect with me and ask questions. Lisa L. Flowers on almost all channels except Instagram. And if I can help you in any way, let me know, any of your viewers, and of course I'm happy to help you in any way that I can.
Yeah, this is great. And you just answered my last question, which is how can we discover more about you? And so I already shared your Twitter handle in the comment section. I'm also going to post your other social media information. Please make sure to follow Lisa. And I definitely learned a lot. I took lots of notes, even though I was hosting this show.
Great.
And I loved every single tip you mentioned. And thank you so much for being such a 5-star guest. And thank you so much, everyone in the audience, and for being here live every single week. I so appreciate you. And if I forgot to mention some of your questions or comments, I'm definitely going to go back through the comments and I will make sure to get back to them. And thank you so much. I will see you next Wednesday, same location, same time, and enjoy the rest of your day, regardless where you are. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.